In this video, we'll be talking about definitions that start with the letter D. And the first one is data types. The data type of a field specifies and/or limits the type of data that you can enter into a field. So this includes data types like short text, auto number, number, date and time, yes and no, and currency. So let's go take a look at our data types. We'll go to our employees table and we'll right click, go into design view, and when we go into the second column here, we have our data type. And our first one here is our employee ID, which is our primary key, so it's set up as an auto number. But we also have a lot of different options, short text, long text, and so on. By specifying and limiting the information that can be entered into that specific field, you're taking the first step toward ensuring that you're going to have a better quality, more accurate database. And then once you've selected your data type, you would continue on with your field properties to even further specify how that data is going to be entered. Okay, so that's your data type, very important. Our next definition is for datasheet view and design view, and I'm not going to go into the full definition because I'm just going to show you. If we open this again in design view, the design view is the view that allows you to get into your data type, get into your field properties, get into the table properties sheet, assign primary keys, and really just create functionality in your table. Your datasheet view is best used for viewing data. You can go in here and add field names if you like, but it's just not as practical. And of course, you have design view in your queries, as well as in your forms and your reports. So queries, you get a split design view here where you have your table layouts and relationships, and then you have your second pane down here that allows you to enter, field names, table names, do sorting, show or hide, and then the most important part of entering criteria. And then your query datasheet view is just showing your data from whatever query you've created. And an interesting thing to note is that this data doesn't actually exist in this query. It is just displaying this data. The data truly lives over here in your table. Your forms don't have datasheet view, but they have form view, and they do also have design view. And design view is where you create your layout. So you kind of have the grid view, you've got your property sheet, you have all of your controls across the top, and you can set that up. And then your reports are the same. They don't have a datasheet view, but they do have your report view and your design view. Okay, so that's datasheet view and design view. We'll close out of all these. The next one is default form. Default form allows you to assign a specific form to open automatically whenever you open Access. This is a really cool feature. So to do it, you go to File, Options, Current Database, and Display Form. And instead of selecting None, you select on whatever form you would like to use. In our case, we only have one form, so we'd choose that, click OK. It's going to ask us to close and reopen it for it to work. That's fine. We click OK, and then we'll go to File and Close, and then we'll open that back up. And now it's by default populating that form into our workspace. And obviously you can see the benefits of this if you have employees or people doing data entry in your organization. When they open Access, you would want them to come to the form first so that they can work in form view rather than going and getting into your tables and queries and kind of the back end of your database. Then of course, to change that back, we can just go back into our options, go back to selecting None, click OK, And then when we close it and open it again, we're back to our regular blank workspace. Okay, so that's the default form. And our last definition for the letter D is delimited. In delimited text files, characters like commas or tabs are used to separate fields. Delimited text files are useful for importing or exporting to and from text documents. And the way we create a delimited file is we go to our table, for example. We can select it and say external data, export to text file. We pick where we want it to go. We don't select this. We don't want it to keep the formatting. We click OK. Gives us the choice of delimited, and you can see that it's breaking up all of our data into chunks of data separated by a comma, and that is the delimiter. So there's comma, 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 etc. And then if we finish through this, we could choose different delimiters. We could use a space, we could use a semicolon, a tab, or a comma. And we continue. And once we finish and send this, it'll export this to a text file that could then be easily shared, imported into another program like Excel, and so on. Okay, so that's delimited, and that's the end of the Ds.